Hello everybody and welcome to WEBfactory 2010. In this video tutorial we're gonna talk about signal value logging in WEBfactory Studio. The first thing we need to know about logging is that the logging in WEBfactory 2010 depends on log conditions. So in order to log a signal's value, we need to have a log condition defined. And here in the logging section of WEBfactory 2010 Studio, we're gonna see how to define a log condition. So I'm gonna select the server under the log condition, the server I want to work on, and I'm gonna right click in the main view of the log condition screen. So I'm gonna right click and select new to create a new log condition. I'm gonna name my log condition condition 1. And now that our log condition has its own name, let's talk about our condition 1 options. The first option we see in the main grid is the log mode. The log mode allows us to choose the way the logging is triggered in our condition. And if we unfold this drop-down menu, we can see we have a lot of options here, and we're gonna go through each one of them one by one. So the first one is time triggered. We can set up this condition to trigger at a certain interval, and as you can see on the right, we can select a log interval, which is not available right now, but if we unfold the drop-down menu, we can choose a log interval from this list. Now, the second log mode is time triggered when signal value is bigger than a constant value. The constant value can be also specified in this main grid in the log constant tab. Over here, if we select this option, we can specify a constant here. For example, 5. The log interval is 1 second. For each second, the system will log the signal's value if it is greater than 5. Our next option is time triggered when signal value is less than a constant value. So basically, the sign between the signal value and this constant will change. The next one is time triggered when signal value is bigger than signal value 2. Now, signal value 2 is an additional signal that can help us set up complex logging. We can select a secondary signal, and for example, I can select the local time and use it as my secondary signal in my log condition. Now, of course, we have the opposite log mode over here, so time triggered when the signal value is lower than the secondary signal value. The next option is time triggered when the second signal value is equal to the constant value. So we can set up logging for one signal, and this logging will be triggered when the value of another signal will be equal to the value of our constant over here. So if this condition will be applied to, let's say, local hour signal, the value of local hour will be logged when the value of local time will be 5 in our scenario over here. Of course, we have the option to trigger the logging when the secondary signal's value is different than this constant. So whenever the local time is not 5, our signal will be logged. Now, the next type of option is once on change. Now, this means that whenever our value of the signal will change, it will be logged. If we select this, you can see that the log interval is disabled because the logging will take place when the signal value will change. The next option is once when the signal value is greater than the constant value. And again, we will use this constant to define the exact time when the logging will happen. We have the option when the signal value is lower than our constant value. We can select logging once when the signal value is greater than the secondary signal's value or lower than the secondary signal's value. And just like in the time triggered logging, we can select our logging condition depending on our secondary signal's value. We can trigger the logging once when the secondary signal's value is equal to the constant, or when is different to the constant value. A mean value is the average value that is calculated with the logging and the reporting intervals as reference parameters. So if we select mean value, we can define logging intervals and reporting intervals over here. And these two values will be used as reference parameter to calculate the mean value. The counter mean value means that we can use as a log mode the total average values. Our next options are the logging interval options, and as you can see, we have different logging intervals we can choose for our logging. We can define the constant when we select a constant depending log mode, and we can define a secondary signal when we select a secondary signal dependent log mode. And our last option in the main view grid is the report interval. Now, remember the mean value log mode. As I told you, the mean value is calculated using the logging interval and the report value. So this report value option is available only when the mean value or counter mean value log modes are selected. The mean value is calculated by means of the reporting interval, and it is issued at the end of the interval as a report. So now that we know how to create a log condition and we know all the details of the log condition, we can go on and set up our logging. So I'm gonna click on the server under the logging option in the logging panel, and I'm gonna go into the main view and right click and select new. And this will allow me to select a signal for which I'm gonna create a log. So I'm gonna select rand1 signal and I'm gonna click OK. And as you can see, our first log is created based on our log condition. And the condition name can be selected over here if we have more conditions in the log condition. And I'm gonna quickly create a new one. You will see that in the condition name option under our logging details, we can select different conditions. So I'm gonna leave condition 1 for my log, and I'm gonna name my log using the signal name so I can know what signal is logged in my log tag. In the log main view, we have the same type of grid that we have in the log conditions, and the items of the grid are active or not. This allows us to toggle this log active or not active. You can see that all these details are available in the logging general details panel at the bottom of this main view. The next option is log tag, and log tag basically acts like a name. The signal name shows us the signal that is attached to this log. Description allows us to put a description of this log. Condition name allows us to select the condition we want for our log. And the next options are maximum days and maximum numbers. Now, maximum days option allows us to specify how long this log should be kept in the database. And the maximum numbers option allows us to specify the maximum number of saved data. And of course, our last option, the log database, it is the name of the database for recording our logs. So if no name is placed inside the log database option, the data will be saved in the default database. So all our logs will be saved in the default database. If a name is put in the log database option, the data will be saved in that specific database. So this is everything about setting up logging for signals in WEBfactory 2010 Studio. I'll see you next time when we're gonna talk about more interesting stuff in WEBfactory 2010. And until next time, try to remember, work smarter, not harder.